I've always believed that even if a fruit is forced, it may not be sweet, but it can still quench thirst. Because of that belief, I forcibly kept Willow by my side for 60 years. On my deathbed, hooked up to a respirator, I stared at Willow sitting beside me. Her face was completely expressionless. Regret crushed me. I asked her, "We've been married for 60 years. Did you ever love me?" The very next second, Willow rolled her eyes. I was left speechless. Exhausted, I slowly closed my eyes and said in despair, "Willow, I loved you for an entire lifetime, but I also delayed your lifetime. If I could live again, I would sever all ties with you, grow old separately, and never meet you again." When I opened my eyes, I had been reborn, back in high school. In my past life, my burning heart had completely scorched Willow's life, yet it never melted her icy heart. This time, I decided I would stay far away from her, never meet her again, and never interfere in her life. However, the very next day, Willow came to my school. She pinned me against the staircase, hands on her hips, laughing coldly as she said, "George, this time you won't escape from my grasp." I realized I had returned to my senior year of high school. Sitting in the classroom, I looked at the familiar teachers and classmates, feeling as if I had just awakened from a long, unreal dream. In my past life, the Liu family business had collapsed and was on the brink of bankruptcy. Forced by my father, Willow had to leave the man who pursued her and agree to be with me. After we married, I did everything possible to make her happy. I almost gave my life to her. I loved Willow far more than I loved myself. Willow didn't disappoint me. On the surface, she supported my career, becoming my capable assistant and helping both the Wang and Liu families expand their businesses. At home, she was gentle and considerate, and she even bore me children. Yet after marriage, Willow never smiled again. I had been the school's troublemaker, skipping classes and getting into fights. Willow, on the other hand, had topped the provincial exams 2 years in a row. She was talented and beautiful. Maybe she never truly looked down on me, but although her body was beside me, her heart always belonged to her childhood friend, the foreign exchange student. We slept in the same bed, yet dreamed different dreams. We both suffered. In this new life, I decided to forget Willow completely and live my own life properly. But almost immediately, my family called and told me they had arranged a meeting with a girl at the city library. She was a model student, also the school beauty of a top nearby high school. They told me to seize this opportunity. I didn't even need to hear her name. I knew it was Willow. In my past life, Willow had been the beauty of a provincial key high school. To pursue her, I transferred schools and chased her relentlessly. I even collaborated with the Wang and Liu families to ensure we ended up together. But in this life, I hadn't gone looking for Willow at all. So how did she find me? Confused but firm, I rejected my family's arrangement. Then my mother scolded me furiously. She shouted, "That girl is beautiful, kind-hearted, and outstanding in her studies. She's more than worthy of you. She came to our house specifically to see you. If you don't meet her, I'll cut off all ties with you. I've already decided Willow will be my daughter-in-law. Whether you recognize me as your mother or not is irrelevant." The call ended, leaving me standing there, stunned. In my past life, Willow had been gentle and virtuous, and she always had an excellent relationship with my parents. Under family pressure, I reluctantly agreed to the meeting. Before I left, my mother forcibly shoved a Cartier diamond ring into my hand and reminded me to treat Willow well. As soon as I stepped outside, I sneered. I opened the expensive box, took out the ring, and replaced it with a cheap plastic toy ring I bought from a street vendor for 50 cents. To make Willow dislike me even more, I deliberately dressed sloppily, dyed my hair green, and covered myself with fake tattoo stickers. Standing at the entrance of the city library, I noticed people staring at me strangely. Willow was sitting by the window. Sunlight spilled over her, turning her hair a soft golden color. She radiated an aloof, noble aura that felt completely untouchable. When I caught sight of my own ridiculous reflection in the glass, I smiled bitterly. Maybe I didn't even need to try this hard. Willow would probably dislike me no matter what. The moment I walked in, Willow looked up at me. Her eyes curved with warmth, and a beautiful smile appeared on her lips. I froze. She was smiling. In my past life, I had bought her luxury cars, designer watches, and branded bags, yet she never once looked at me kindly. This was the first time I had ever seen Willow smile at me, and it was unbelievably sweet. I couldn't speak. Why was she smiling when I looked like this? Could it be that I accidentally got it right? Did she like this kind of style? Her taste was unusual. She spoke softly, "George, this is a gift I got for you." She opened her bag and revealed a brand new Dragon Ball comic, signed by Akira Toriyama. Dragon Ball was my favorite. How did she know? Was it just a coincidence? I avoided her gaze, forcing myself to calm down and not repeat my past mistakes. I said coldly, "I'm not interested in childish things. Take it back." Willow didn't get angry. She kept smiling and asked, "What about the gift your mother asked you to prepare for me?" I handed her the Cartier box. She opened it, pretending to be surprised. I grinned mischievously and said, "I bought it for 50 cents at a street stall. I don't know if it's to your liking." Calmly, Willow slipped the plastic ring onto her finger and looked at me intently. Half joking, half serious, she asked, "Are you proposing to me?" I froze. What kind of logic was that? She had put the plastic ring on her ring finger. In my past life, I would have been ecstatic, maybe even fainted on the spot. But a forced relationship was never sweet. This time, I wanted to let her go, and let myself go too. Keeping a straight face, I said, "Honestly, I'm not interested in you." Willow lowered her eyes, her smile fading slightly. She stood up, stuffed the comic into my hands, and walked out of the bookstore. I stood there holding the signed comic, feeling dazed. A wooden handmade bookmark slipped out. I picked it up and saw a sentence written in her familiar handwriting. "Even if they grow old with white hair, their love remains pure and fresh like when they first met. No need for words. One glance is enough to understand each other." I watched her retreating figure, my emotions tangled. She never removed the ring, not even when she left. Whatever Willow intended no longer mattered. From that moment on, we owed each other nothing. We would never meet again. The very next day at school, I was stunned. Willow stood at the podium. She was accompanied by her childhood friend, Makoto, a foreign exchange student. The two of them stood together, looking like a perfect match. The homeroom teacher introduced them as new transfer students who would be spending their senior year with us. Their resumes were impressive, especially Makoto's. He had studied abroad for 3 years, won countless international math awards, and returned with honors. I sat in the far corner of the last row, half asleep. A guy in the front row nudged me and whispered, "George, the new girl is really pretty. Fair skin, beautiful face, totally your type." I shot him an annoyed glance. "Get lost." The teacher pointed and said, "You, move back. Make room for the new student. You two have good grades. Sitting together will help motivate each other." I was irritated. No matter what, in my past life, Willow had been my wife. Seeing her with another man made my chest ache in a way I couldn't explain. Then, unexpectedly, Willow walked toward me with her backpack, smiling sweetly. "George, move over. I'm sitting next to you." Makoto froze at the podium. "Willow, if you sit with him, what about me?" She didn't even turn around. "Do whatever you want. It's none of my business." I ignored her and put my head down, quickly falling asleep. When I woke up, a blanket covered me. Willow sat beside me, chin resting in her hand, smiling. "I even brought a pillow for you. Want to use it?" I panicked, grabbed the blanket, and shoved it back. The guys in the back row snickered, but Willow didn't care at all. When class ended, Makoto stormed over, furious. "Willow, we've known each other since childhood. You won't sit with me, but you'll sit next to this trash." I didn't care if Makoto chased Willow, but I wouldn't tolerate him insulting me. I grabbed him by the collar. "What the hell did you say?" My friend stepped forward, ready to fight. Makoto sneered arrogantly. "You back row losers who never study, aren't you just trash of society? Touch me and I'll report you all." With exams approaching, none of us wanted trouble. I stopped my friends and let him go. Makoto mocked us, calling us cowards. Then, slap. A crisp sound echoed through the room. Willow had slapped Makoto clean across the face. Everyone froze, including me. Makoto clutched his face in disbelief. You hit me for this trash? Willow's smile vanished. Coldly, she said, George may be playful, but his character is good. He never insults or belittles others. Unlike certain so-called elites, who call others trash at every opportunity. She added calmly, and people sitting in the back row will probably do better than you in the future. Makoto glared at me with hatred before storming off. I couldn't believe it. Willow had slapped him. For me. After thinking it through, I understood. At this point, the Liu family must have been in financial trouble, and Willow was likely sent to seek cooperation with my family. I told her plainly, I know your family needs help. If you want to cooperate with my family, I won't interfere, but don't bother me after this. Then I left with my friends for the playground. Later, one of them asked, George, a girl like that is chasing you. Aren't you even a little moved? I didn't answer. In my past life, being with me had affected Willow's mood and ruined her grades. She missed her dream university. That regret haunted her forever. Staying together would only delay both our lives. I called my dad, hoping he'd quickly help the Liu family so Willow would leave me alone. Instead, he sounded confused. Son, what are you talking about? The Liu family's crisis was resolved 2 weeks ago. It had nothing to do with us. I heard it was your sister-in-law who helped. I hung up, stunned. That sister-in-law was Willow. If her family's problem was already solved, why was she still approaching me? Suddenly, someone grabbed my shoulder. Makoto stood there, face twisted with resentment. George, listen carefully. Willow is mine. Stay away from her. I was speechless. What are you talking about? When did I ever get close to her? If anything, she was the one approaching me. One of my friends shoved Makoto away, cursing him out. I didn't want to waste energy on him and walked off. Behind us, Makoto shouted, Stay away from Willow. Soon, people from outside the school entered the playground, arranging heart-shaped candles. Makoto stood in the center, holding flowers, shouting Willow's name. A crowd gathered, chanting along. From the stairs, Willow appeared and walked down, stepping straight into the circle of candles with him. I stood at a distance, bitterness filling my heart. Every moment from my previous life, the love, the marriage, the decades we spent together, flashed before my eyes like a revolving lantern. At that very moment, I wished more than anything that before I died in my past life, I could have heard Willow say, I loved you. If she had said those words, I would have rushed to her, dragged her away from Makoto, and never let go. But instead, I stood there helplessly, watching her with another man. Then, in the next instant, Willow shocked everyone. In full view of the stunned crowd, she threw the bouquet Makoto had given her to the ground and kicked over the candles surrounding them. Lifting the hem of her delicate white skirt, she sprinted straight toward me. She tilted her head, smiling, and asked, If I accept flowers from other men, don't you feel heartbroken? I was completely caught off guard. Was she deliberately accepting Makoto's flowers just to provoke me? Dressed in white, pure and adorable, Willow had a devastating effect on me. I panicked, and without thinking, I turned and ran. She quickly caught up, gently tugging at my sleeve. Did you see the bookmark I gave you? Do you know what that message means? I couldn't face her. I sped up and answered evasively, I don't know. No, Willow said firmly. You do. When we reached the stairwell, she stepped in front of me, grabbed both my hands, and in a burst of anger pinned me against the wall. She snorted coldly. George, don't think that just because you've been reborn, things are different. In the last life, you took my entire life. This time, I want all of yours. In this life and the next, I will cling to you. I will be your woman forever. I stared at her angry yet resolute expression, utterly lost. In my past life, Willow had always been distant and cold, keeping everyone at arm's length. Whether it was me or anyone else, we rarely saw emotion on her face. She carried the aloof, untouchable aura of a goddess. After marriage, she focused on managing the household and raising our children, but emotionally, we were strangers. Seeing her bare her heart like this felt unreal, yet I couldn't ignore the truth of it. I gently pushed her hands away, lowered my head, and struggled for a long moment before speaking. Willow, marrying me in the last life caused you so much pain. I saw the sorrow on your face, and it broke my heart too. Now that the Liu family's problems are resolved, you don't need my family's help anymore. So from now on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. In this life and the next, we'll never meet again." The anger on her face faded, replaced by hurt. "George, is it just because I was a little cold to you that you're acting like this? In the last life, you never raised your voice at me. Now that we've been reborn for only a few days, you not only yell at me, you bully me." Her voice grew weaker as tears streamed down her face. "In my past life, I had pampered Willow endlessly. She took care of my parents, managed the family, and bore my children. If there had been no love, none of that would have been possible. I wasn't rejecting her because I didn't care. I just didn't want her to relive the same painful life, marrying someone she believed didn't love her and suffering for decades. I turned away and waved my hand. When you get back, I'll move your seat next to Makoto. From now on, don't come near me." She stopped me again, her voice filled with anger. "George, why are you rejecting me? Have you really changed your heart in just a few days since we were reborn?" I couldn't face her while she cried so uncontrollably. If I did, I knew I would soften. I walked past her and said quietly, "My heart hasn't changed. Yours hasn't changed either." My eyes were full of her, but her heart had never truly held me. In this life, I was tired. I had given up. I would find an ordinary girl who saw only me and live a simple life. Willow stopped chasing me, but I could still faintly hear her sobbing. Several times, I almost turned back, wanting to hold her and rekindle what we once had. But for her happiness, and my sanity, I forced myself to return to the classroom. I packed Willow's bag and moved her seat next to Makoto's. When the afternoon self-study bell rang, Makoto entered the classroom looking disheveled. Seeing Willow's bag on the seat beside him, his face flushed red with excitement, looking like a pig that had been stewed. Willow entered silently, her expression gloomy, and instinctively walked toward my side. Makoto eagerly stepped in front of her. "Willow, I knew you wouldn't refuse me. You were just nervous earlier, that's why you ran away shyly. You regret it now, so you moved your seat next to me, right?" Willow shot him an angry look and pointed at her bag. "Who did this?" The class erupted in whispers. I had never seen Willow this furious. I couldn't understand why she was angry when I had helped her sit with her childhood friend. In my past life, whenever Willow was upset, I always apologized. Seeing her trembling hands, I instinctively became submissive again. I stood up. It was me. Everyone stared in disbelief. The next second, slap. Willow struck Makoto hard across the face. Clutching his cheek, Makoto asked in shock, "Why did you hit me?" "He's the one who moved your bag." Willow replied coldly, "If you bother me again, I'll hit you again." She grabbed her bag, stormed over, and stopped in front of me. I took a step back. "Well, you hit him, so you can't hit me now, right?" She slammed her bag down. "Put everything back immediately." Everyone backed away, expecting violence. But instead, I obediently opened her bag, placed her books back into the drawer, and arranged her stationery neatly. Smiling, I asked, "Miss Liu, is this okay?" She sat down angrily. "If you do this again, I really will be angry." I finally let out a breath. In my past life, Willow had never lost her temper like this. Seeing her change scared me, and I couldn't bring myself to hurt her in any way. A friend leaned over with a grin. "So you're learning to care for your wife now?" I clenched my fist. "I can't hit her, but you think I won't hit you?" During self-study, the homeroom teacher burst in with a grim expression, slamming the podium. "Who confessed on the playground this afternoon? Stand up." Willow and Makoto stood simultaneously. The teacher softened when she saw them. "Oh, it's you two. You both have good grades, but this is a critical time. Early romance will affect your studies." Willow immediately said, "Teacher, I'm not in a relationship with him. He keeps bothering me even though he knows I like someone else." The teacher froze. "Who is it that you like?" Without hesitation, Willow pointed at me. The teacher's face darkened. "George is a troublemaker who slacks off. How could you associate with someone like him? Willow replied calmly, grades don't represent everything. Character matters more. Students in the back cheered. The teacher looked disgusted and shouted, both of you, go stand in the office. On the way, I asked Willow quietly, when you said character matters more, does that mean Makoto has problems? She nodded. Yes. She didn't hide her disdain. Makoto has never taken life seriously. While abroad, he got a girl pregnant. When she came looking for him, he denied everything. She couldn't afford a ticket home and almost committed suicide in the hospital. I helped her leave. I finally understood. All those hospital visits weren't because Makoto was sick. Regret flooded me. So in your heart, Willow said softly, I'm that kind of loose woman? I never said that, I quickly replied. She sighed. You always blame me for not opening up, but you never talk either. You overthink everything without asking. The teacher interrupted again, furious, threatening punishment. We remained indifferent. After school, my mother called, inviting Willow to dinner. I asked her to come. She hesitated. Then Makoto appeared again. George, you go ahead, she said. I'll stay here with him. My heart sank. I drove home alone. At dinner, my parents questioned me. I finally said, Willow doesn't like me. She's still in love with her childhood sweetheart. If we're together, we'll never be happy. Then I told them everything that happened today. Both of my parents froze when they heard what I said. My mother hesitated for a long time before speaking in disbelief. She said Willow shouldn't be the kind of person I was describing. I was so angry that my hand started shaking as I replied that if Willow really wasn't that kind of person, then why wouldn't she even get into my car? Just then, Willow's voice suddenly came from outside the house, apologizing for being late. I was stunned. Wasn't Willow supposed to be with Makoto? Why was she here at my house? Willow struggled as she carried a large bag of gifts into the living room. My dad kicked me lightly and told me to stop standing around and help her carry the things. Reluctantly, I stepped forward and helped Willow bring everything inside. At the dinner table, my parents still leaned in my favor. My mom casually but pointedly asked Willow why she hadn't come home with me after school. Willow answered calmly that the reason she was late was because she didn't want me to feel jealous. She said I was a bit petty and always thought there was something going on between her and a guy from class. Because of that, after school she made plans with that guy to talk things through and tell him not to bother her anymore, so I wouldn't feel uncomfortable seeing them together. As soon as she finished speaking, my dad kicked me in the butt again and angrily scolded me, saying a real man wouldn't be so petty. He told me to serve Willow some food and apologize to her. I still didn't move right away and instead questioned Willow, asking what she and Makoto had talked about and how it went. Willow answered casually that it wasn't much. She had just slapped him and told him to stop bothering her. If he showed up in front of her again, she'd hit him again. I was completely speechless. How had she turned into such a violent beauty? I swallowed hard and reluctantly served Willow some food. Dinner passed with my parents and Willow chatting happily, and that evening she stayed over in the guest room. That night, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. Willow had changed so much in this life. Makoto, who had once been close to her, had become a pariah. Everything seemed to be moving in a better direction, and even I couldn't help but feel tempted to reconcile with Willow. But there was still something that bothered me deeply. In my past life, I spent 60 years with her and never managed to warm her cold heart. Yet in this life, she was the one actively pursuing me, even clinging to me desperately. How could someone who hadn't loved me for 60 years suddenly change? Or was it possible that Willow had another reason for staying by my side? I couldn't stop turning these thoughts over in my head. The next morning, as soon as I woke up, I suddenly remembered something and cursed under my breath. I had forgotten to write the self-criticism. Our homeroom teacher was a grumpy old woman going through menopause, notorious for her bad temper. Anyone who went against her would be criticized every other day. That day, Willow and I had to read our 3,000-word self-criticisms in front of the entire school during the assembly. If we embarrassed her, she would definitely hold a grudge against us. To avoid becoming the target of her anger, I didn't even eat breakfast. I hurriedly searched online for a self-criticism template and copied it. I even dragged the housekeeper and the driver into helping, each of them copying a portion in my handwriting. By the time we were ready to leave, I had finally finished all 3,000 words. When we arrived at school, we went straight to the playground to line up. Every Monday morning, the school held a flag-raising ceremony followed by a full assembly. During the assembly, aside from praising a few top students, the rest of the time was usually spent criticizing those who had broken school rules. While we were lining up, Willow deliberately stood next to me. With less than a minute before it was our turn to speak in front of thousands of people, I nervously asked her whether she had finished writing her self-criticism. Willow replied calmly that she hadn't written a single word. I was so shocked I nearly dropped my jaw. I asked her what she planned to do, and she smiled slightly and told me I'd find out soon enough. The speeches on stage were wrapping up, and we had less than a minute left before being called. If I froze and couldn't say anything in front of so many people, I would definitely humiliate myself and get scolded by the teacher again afterward. After hesitating briefly, I handed my self-criticism to Willow and told her to just read it and let me take the blame for both of us. No matter what, I had once been her husband, and I felt I had to shoulder this for her. Unexpectedly, Willow ignored the paper entirely and refused to take it. My eyebrows twitched in anger, and I warned her that if she ended up crying later from being scolded, she shouldn't blame me. Soon, both of us were called up to the stage. At the teacher's signal, I began reading my self-criticism in a flat, emotionless tone. With 3,000 words, I finished quickly, hoping to get through it without incident. When I was done, the microphone was handed to Willow. The teacher told her it was her turn. Willow took the microphone but didn't pull out a self-criticism. Instead, she turned to look at me. There was a determined glint in her eyes as she began to speak. She said she didn't know when she had fallen in love with me, but when she finally realized it, when she thought she was about to lose me, she understood how deeply she loved me. Seeing me lying in bed, about to leave her, she said she couldn't even describe the regret in her heart. She wanted to say she loved me, but she always felt she hadn't done enough to deserve it. She said I had given her 60 years of chances, and she had never cherished them. After I left, she regretted every single second, over and over again, but it was already too late. That was why, on the day of my funeral, she chose to come into this world with me. By the time Willow finished speaking, she was already crying. I stood there completely stunned, as if struck by lightning. Had she just said she wanted to die with me? Willow, the woman who had never shown me a kind face in 60 years, was willing to die for me? When I thought about it carefully, there seemed to be only one explanation for why she was here. Otherwise, how could the healthy, unharmed Willow have passed away just 7 days after my death? When I looked at her again, my heart suddenly tightened. It felt as though Willow had never truly understood me, just as I had never truly understood her. After all, how could someone who didn't love me give me children, stay with me for a lifetime, and never leave? While I was still lost and unsure of what to do, Willow suddenly grabbed my arm and slammed herself into my chest. She leaned close to my ear and whispered in a voice only I could hear that in our past life, I had been the one to pursue her, and she had hurt me terribly. In this life, she said, it was her turn to win me back. As soon as her words fell, Willow kissed me. In front of thousands of people, we kissed for what felt like more than 10 minutes. The teachers nearby were so shocked by the boldness of it that they forgot to stop us at first. Only after a long while did they finally step in and pull us apart. We were told that our parents would be notified and that we had to stay home for a week to reflect. During that week, I wasn't particularly worried. Although kissing on stage had seriously violated school rules, it wasn't a criminal offense. After the 7 days were over, we would just have to return to school and write another self-criticism. However, the situation turned out to be far worse than I expected. The week passed quickly, and as I got into the car to return to school, I couldn't help feeling excited at the thought of seeing Willow again. After all, it was the first time in all those years that she had kissed me solely. But when I arrived at school, I found that Willow's seat was empty. After asking around, I learned that someone had leaked news of our kiss to the media, causing a massive stir. Because of the negative attention, Willow had been suspended. As for whether she would be expelled, that was still under discussion. Shocked, I immediately rushed to Willow's house to see what had happened. When I arrived, her eyes were red from crying, and she ran over to hug me tightly. The kiss she had given me was now everywhere in the media, and the situation was spiraling out of control. If it turned into a full-blown public scandal, Willow would almost certainly be expelled. In her past life, Willow's greatest dream had been to attend a prestigious university. Now she wanted to make up for the regrets of that life. If she were expelled, she would never have the chance to achieve that dream. I held her hand and promised that I would handle everything. In our past life, Willow had always supported me unconditionally, whether it was in business or family matters. With her help, I had successfully managed the family business, and our children had grown into outstanding individuals in both academics and character, becoming the backbone of the company. In this life, it was my turn to support her. Willow curled up in my arms, crying like a drenched kitten. After returning home, I immediately began investigating who was behind the media frenzy. Logically, what happened at school shouldn't have caused such an enormous social reaction. The only explanation was that someone was manipulating things behind the scenes. Before I could finish my investigation, Makoto came looking for me. After class, he secretly called me to an empty stairwell. With a sly grin, he told me that since I loved Willow so deeply, he was giving me a chance to let her return to school. It was obvious. Makoto was the one behind everything. Suppressing my anger, I asked him what he wanted. Makoto replied arrogantly that he wanted me to admit in front of the media that it wasn't Willow who kissed me, but that I had assaulted her. It was a vicious scheme. If I followed his demands, not only would I be expelled, but I would likely face criminal charges and carry a permanent stain on my record. Enraged, I clenched my fist and was about to punch him, but he pulled out a hidden camera from his chest pocket and taunted me, telling me to go ahead and hit him if I dared. He would just report it to the teachers. I had no choice but to lower my fist and turn back toward the classroom. Over the following days, I used the Wong family's influence to suppress the media storm Makoto had stirred up with his money. The situation quickly cooled down, and people gradually lost interest. Soon after, my father funded the construction of a new library on an abandoned piece of land at the school. With these two actions combined, the school canceled Willow's suspension and allowed her to return. Makoto, on the other hand, didn't escape the fate he had met in our previous life. He was expelled after getting into serious trouble while studying abroad. The college entrance exams arrived soon after. Willow and I both achieved excellent scores and were admitted to Tsinghua University, becoming alumni. At last, the regrets of our past lives were resolved, and we were finally able to make up for them in this one.